I lost both my parents. My mom passed on.
Yeah.
From a heartbreak.
Do you know the events that led to the death?
When my mom took her last breath, I was actually watching her. That I remember.
Did anyone say anything to you?
No.
How was life for you after that?
So what happened after the passing of my parents is that my sister and I were separated.
Why?
Oh. Do you know your sister would have killed herself if it weren't for you? Like holding back tears the whole time.
Oh
like,
my
I'm not gonna
God.
cry. So she looked at me and she smiled, she took her last breath, and then that was it.
Sanbonani Dumelang, good afternoon, good evening from whatever time that you're watching. Welcome to Centtwinz TV right here on our channel. We're so excited to have you, and you are watching I Have Been Through the Most podcast. I'm Innocent.
I'm Millicent. Oh, you are listening.
Did you have to think about that?
No, I'm like, no, because you said from wherever you're watching, I'm like, and listening. Because other people listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast, or you are on YouTube. Welcome.
Welcome to the show, guys. We are on all social media platforms. We are on TikTok. Stick with us on all social media platforms so that you are informed with everything that we are posting and doing. Today we have a guest, Nthabiseng.
Yes.
Millicent's other name.
Bito.
Bito. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are so pretty.
Thank you very much. Thank
really,
you.
really pretty.
You're welcome. So can you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us who you are and why you're here today.
Yes, so my name is Nthabiseng Mgwenya. I'm 24 years old. Currently a candidate attorney.
Wow.
Yes. I just submitted my dissertation, my master's
Which is your
dissertation.
final, right?
Yes.
Wow.
So hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll be graduating again for my
Yay.
master's. Yes. So yeah, that's just who I am, I guess.
So, Nthabiseng, can you take us through your story? Because I know that there's definitely a story and there's definitely a reason why you're here today.
Yes, definitely. So at the age of 4, that was 2003. I lost both my parents within a period of 6 months. So yeah, so my dad passed on in January. I think it was January 26th, 2003, a few days after my birthday. And then
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
You were so young.
Yeah.
Just like us when we lost our parents, okay?
Yes.
Well, one of our parents, yes.
Yes. So and then in July, and then my mom passed on as well. So my dad had pneumonia. So I was quite young at that time. So I just didn't make sense why sometimes my dad wasn't at home, because they were married, and and I just never thought of why my dad wasn't at home, but only to find out he was at the hospital. So yeah, he was quite sick for a long time, I think. Yeah, and then 6 months after that, my mom passed on.
Yeah.
From a heartbreak of losing my father. So she had like a heart attack. She was like
What?
literally, yeah.
So from a heartbreak, not like a heart attack, or not like any sort of
sickness.
disease.
No, so she wasn't really sick. She was just heartbroken. Like she was sad. She was depressed. The whole time after my dad passed on. And what I appreciate about my mom is that she journaled a lot. So now that I'm much older, I get back to like her journal. I can read.
So you actually
It's
like
so
know what you went
beautiful.
through,
Yes.
and
Her
like
state
in the
of
time.
mind,
Yes,
Sissy,
and her state
at
of
the
mind.
time.
Yeah.
So this is why you can confirm that your mom passed from heartbreak.
Yeah.
Could she not? She probably could not accept
Yes.
that she had lost
Yes, she
her
couldn't accept.
lover.
Yes, she couldn't accept that because just reading her journal, and also by my grandfather, because my grandfather, from my maternal side, when my dad passed on, she went back home, obviously, to your parents to try heal from the loss of the love of your life. And then so my grandfather now tells us that I used to tell your mom that I know it's sad, I know it's hard, but just try to live again. We're not saying be happy or whatever, but like try day by day, even if it means you wake up and you go sit watch TV. She never did none of that. Like she literally
struggled.
slept. That's what I'm told. Yeah, so she was very sad. The only thing she would do was journal, which I get to.
What
read
did your mom say? What stood out for you in the journal that really took you back to those moments and where she was emotionally?
So she would, more than often, she would write that she's really not coping with the loss of my father, because my father was, they were young. I think she was 28 and my dad was 32.
That's
you know, they were very young, and I can imagine being a widow at 28 and you've got like 2 kids. I've got an older sister, by the way, so we are 3 years apart, and she was 7 at that time and I was 4. And you can imagine you're left with that, right? And she was also just about to graduate as well, because I remember my dad took her to school throughout, you know. And then in the August she had to graduate, and then July she passed on because she just couldn't. She just couldn't. She just couldn't. She was like, I can't. Like, what am I supposed to do with these kids? What am I supposed to do without my husband? Like my friend, literally. You know. So yeah. So then her heart just stopped.
Do you know how long they'd been together?
I'm not sure,
Are they
honestly.
like high school sweethearts? But I'm assuming because she was so young, they'd probably been together for some time. If your sister was 7.
Yeah. Actually never asked that, but I don't know for how long they had been together. But yeah.
Do you know the events that led to the death? We know it was heartbreak, but you know what happened on that day?
Yeah. It's funny how I always say you know, when you're 4 years old, you don't remember, you don't have memory of a lot of things, but actually I do. And
so you have that sharp memory of all those details as a child.
I do. I even remember the song they sang during my father's burial. Jehovah Telu Moya. That song, I remember it. I was 4. It's crazy, I know, but I always say that I'm so glad that I could remember this. I'm so glad that this is what God gave me. At least you gave me the memories, because now that's what
I hold on to.
Yes, I can hold on to. So, so on that day when my mom passed away, so my grandfather from my paternal side really loved my mom. Like really, really loved my mom. So even when she was sick and after my dad had passed on, you'd think the relationship would end like that, but no.
He came closer.
Yes, he came home to my grandfather's, my maternal side, to visit her, to check on her, because she was not okay, you know?
Yeah.
And that day, my granny from my maternal side called him, my grandfather from my paternal side, to say, hey, she's not okay. We're thinking of taking her to the hospital, at least maybe to get, I don't know, to do what, because she's just hurting, you know? So just, and then I remember I don't know about this, but my grandfather told me that they had to carry her to the car and to take her to the hospital. And she kept emphasizing, I don't want to go to the hospital. Don't take me there. No.
And
but
you remember that?
No. They're telling me this.
Yes,
This. Now that this I don't remember.
Okay.
But I don't know it. Yeah. But my grandfather from my maternal side tells me, like, they carried her to the car. And crazy how she was like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital. And obviously you're not okay. We're gonna take you to the hospital.
Yes.
So they took her there, and then one thing she said was asked her father, please apply Vaseline on my lips. They dry. And then my grandfather did that, and then she stopped for a moment. And she was like, "Wow, it's so beautiful." And people were like puzzled. What do you mean? Like, and it's like it's so bright. It's so bright. Gyakanya. It's so beautiful. And then you're like, okay, maybe you're hallucinating. We don't know. Got in the car, went by. And actually, when my mom took her last breath, I was actually watching her. That I remember.
What?
Yes. That I remember. That I remember. But as a child, I didn't make anything.
Wait, so she wasn't even in hospital yet? She was still in the car?
Yeah, we were still going.
So you were there?
I was there. Yeah, in the car with them as a child. I'm just like, And so...
You were sitting next to her?
No. So... The car, it was like sort of like a kumbi, like those olden days one, because my grandfather owned one from my paternal side. So he came with it. So she was laying on, you see that 2-seater at the back, and then there's one in front, and then you know how a taxi is. She was in that, and I was sitting in one of the seats in front, like the front row, and I was looking back, peeping through like those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she looked at me and she smiled. She took her last breath, and then that was it. But I didn't make sense of it. I'm like, okay, sharp.
But you remember that
vividly.
I
remember that. Her smile.
And she was looking at you.
Yeah.
And clearly she was happy to go.
Yes, because she said it's beautiful.
Yes.
This is nice. It's beautiful.
And she gave a smile, and then that was it. She wasn't in any sort of pain.
At that time, no. She smiled and she left. And then now people are crying. I'm very confused.
In the car still.
Yeah, they
How
stopped.
did they realize that she's no more? I guess the silence, because your mom could speak still in the car. If she could say, Guti,
Yes.
it's beautiful.
Yes.
So, but the sudden silence, who noticed first?
I don't know that. I don't remember. I can't recall that. But I just do remember people crying and my grandmother coming out of the taxi, sitting on a rock, and she wept.
So they stopped in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Before they could even get to the hospital.
Yeah, I think
so they knew. So I guess that was just like a moment of just taking it all in.
Yeah, they stopped the car. I think eventually they saw that, okay, this person is no more. Then they stopped the car. And yeah, I remember that as well. So and then she passed on as well. And that's where like the struggle began, you know. Because I remember we had, with the little snippets that I remember of my childhood with my parents, we were happy kids with my sister, because I remember they bought us like this small computer and we'd watch Simba all day.
Wait, before we get this, so I want us to take from, so then the car stops. Did anyone say anything to you?
No, I think no.
Everyone was paying attention to whatever they're paying attention to.
They might have, but probably
you can't remember. And then you still proceeded to go to the hospital.
I don't know.
So you got from like what do they call it? A blackout from there, because you can't remember what happened.
Yeah, from there. I don't know what happened from
funeral.
There. I don't remember her funeral.
Remember your dad's funeral?
Yeah, I don't remember what happened with her. I don't remember with her. Yeah.
Okay. You know, just hearing the story, right, and how it transpired. Do you think that maybe your mom had depression? Because obviously, like, depression kills. I think that's what people don't understand. Like, depression can kill. This is why people are on medication when they do have depression. Like, feeling sad to that extent can end your life.
Yes.
You know? So, with what we know now, with mental health being such a big thing now, do you think maybe she had, like, depression?
Yeah, obviously, I think she was depressed. But it was like probably undiagnosed at that time, because mental health, the 2003 in a black family, you know, it's not a thing. We'll take you to that doctor, but we're not going to take you to therapy, because what's that? You know, what's that?
You're hurting, it's normal. And it's just a few months after your husband's passing. So everyone thinks it's normal, the journey that you're going through, because there isn't like a set amount of time that's like, okay, you need to mourn for 2 months, for 3 months. The journey is different for everyone.
To mourn, you know,
or even a way to mourn.
Because when you talk about how they say she was always sleeping, that's one of the biggest signs of depression, when you just cannot get out of bed,
isolate
you just
yourself.
want to sleep, you isolate, you sad, you stuff. That is like hectic, like chronic depression. But where do you draw the line? Are you mourning? Are you depressed? Because if it went on for 6 months, that is a long time.
It is. And hence my grandfather always told her, like, you know, like, try.
It's okay.
Like, it's fine. Like, try. Like, just try.
Yeah.
You know,
how was life for you after that? Because now you're so young, you're 4, you only have your sister, and both your parents have passed. All you knew was 2 loving parents who obviously loved each other. How was life then? What can you remember from your childhood to where you are now?
So what happened after the passing of my parents is that my sister and I were separated.
Oh.
And it's so crazy.
Because Sisi, remember, abazala because so now it's like whoever is available to take you. So,
but they're so smart. Why? I'm asking if there's a reason maybe of them separating you, because you're 7 and 4. It's like
So that's the first thing I remember, and I feel like probably at that time my guardians, my grandmother and my mom's older sister thought it was the right thing to do, or rather that was the best thing they could have done, you know. So they separated us, and my sister and I were like inseparable. I think my mom used to dress us the same things, and my sister would hate it because she was 7.
Like twins.
Yes, literally. Like my mom would like everything, would like do the same things together, would dress the same, and just how close we were with my sister. And then when my parents passed, she stayed with my grandmother, my grandmother and grandfather from a maternal side. So when I speak about grandmother and grandfather now, I'm speaking of my maternal side, because after that, my paternal family didn't really kind of, get involved. Yeah. So, and then I went to go stay with my mom's older sister. Yeah, and we were separated like that. And I think I had quite a fairly nice life there, and my sister was just left behind, which breaks my heart. Yeah.
So what kind of life did she have?
No, it was just like normal.
Okay.
And typical example, I would like always get like the new nice clothes, because I'm staying with like my aunt and her husband and other kids,
Who are working.
But
with grandparents is different.
Yes, grandparents is different. You just get what you get. And it wasn't like they were poor, but it was just that I was getting more.
Households are different,
right?
Of course, yeah.
Yes. And looking back now, I didn't realize as I was a kid, but for her it was, sad, But like also as an older sister, she was like, you rather than I. She says now, she tells me that like it got to a point where she was suicidal. She wanted to kill herself. But she was like, the only thing I will stay up for is you. And I never knew that until I was 17, 16, when we both went to therapy. And my therapist was like, because we were fighting a lot also at that time with my sister, because now we were separated. I don't know you anymore. I don't know the struggles you went through. I don't know you.
You just can't relate.
I just can't relate.
We're apart.
We're apart, right? And I remember the other time, one of our therapist was like, do you know your sister would have killed herself if it weren't for you? And I was 16 at the time. Like, what do you mean? She was like, she was just very depressed at some point, and she felt like ending it all. But she always said, my sister just lost her parents, and now she has to lose me. Now she's not going to be left with anybody, right? Because also I think what the loss of my parents has taught me is that nobody will ever love you like your own parents. Family can want the best for you, right?
That's a true story, girl. It's a very sad reality, but also it's reality. Like even you as a person, the way you love your own children, you know that with other people's kids you can love them, but not the same. It's just one of those things. But
and also like the sacrifices that they make, it's only to a certain extent.
It's different,
and then they can't go beyond for you. They only do that for their kids, and I experienced that a whole lot of times. And then that's what I've just learned in life, and I'm just like,
reality.
Nobody will ever, and I accept it. And also I try to like it does get very painful even now in my 24 years. I still get very sad, because I'm just like, I don't want to blame you for loving your kids more, because like, what are you supposed to do?
Yes,
you're supposed to put your kids first. It's unfortunate that I don't have those physical people to do that for me, but I always say that.
And it's still a huge sacrifice for them to still
have
you.
So you're grateful for
no one planned to have someone extra
child.
You know what I mean? Like, I think of myself now. I'm married. I've got my kids, and then here's a child or children randomly come and aunt. Of course, I will gladly do it, but you can understand how
the love will be different.
But how much you have to make room. You have to make space, because it's not just staying with them, it's taking care of them, it's feeding them, taking them to school, making sure they have a proper lifestyle. It's easier said than done.
But God bless some grandparents, because they come very close to that, or even exceed that. I think, but like when it comes to other people, it's hard.
It is.
But grandparents, I think, because they gave birth to your mom,
and
or your dad, it's like they give you the same amount of love.
Sure. Where are you now, mentally and emotionally? Where are you now?
So it's still quite a bumpy road. Because I think loss and grief, you never really get over it, especially if it's your own parents. And as I am getting older, I always realize that I actually need these people more. So you think
spot on.
Spot on. And for me, it hurts me the most, because I'm just like, I thought as I grow older, I'll be able to do things myself. It's going to be easier. But now it's actually like, no, actually,
I need you more now.
I need you more now. Back then, fine. I was, but I need you more now. And it's just a constant reminder. I always tell myself that when I comfort myself, I just say that, you know, God took my parents, my earthly parents, because he wanted to take care of me himself. He wanted to do that job himself, and I think he has done an amazing job.
I think so
at that.
too. I think so too.
But I miss them all the time. And everything that I do, I just wish, you know, wherever they are,
Like
they're
someone
proud.
can be proud of you.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. I remember when I got the job that I'm at right now. It was a bittersweet moment for me because, you got a job, cool. No one was actually like happy for me and stuff like that. But I mean, I understand. Like nobody's going to be there as your parent, right? And I remember with my degree, I had no one to go to the ceremony with. I just literally went there alone.
No.
It was so emotional. I was
Where
just
was your sister?
she was working, and I think she had taken leave, so she couldn't take again, you know. And
Oh my
but she
gosh,
came
that
like
is
literally
crazy.
after. There was, you know. But I was there, like holding back tears the whole time.
Oh
like,
my
I'm not gonna cry.
gosh.
And then, and I remember
That is so sad.
and I remember the speaker there, whoever, was like, may the old graduates stand up. And then we stood up, and then they were like, we had gotten our degrees now, everything was done. And then they're like, please just raise them and wave them to your parents. And then it's just like, oh my God. I just raved to like wherever, but it really like took a knock, and I was just like, oh God, this is just so painful. But I think what has made me today are all those scars, because also if I didn't have those scars, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have anything to share with people, because I always say that I went through a lot. This is just like highlights, because I went through like the abuse, like the emotional, mentally, to an extent where one of my aunts would say, I didn't kill your parents, when I'd ask for something. I'm 12 years old. And she's like, yeah, why do you want, like, maybe at school they want, I remember they wanted 50 rands for like re-registrations or something. And she was like, she's a social worker, but she was like, I never killed your parents. Why should I take out money from my, you know? I'm like, you should have said you don't have. You couldn't have, you shouldn't have said the other words, you know, even if you did. So it was all that. But I do believe that I'm not all that. I am not all that, and it has made me the person I am today. As you asked with the milestones that I've achieved, was first getting that job, you know, taking care of myself and
being independent.
But I have been also like for the longest time, because I started staying alone at 16. And who do I call to say I don't have food? I had to.
The guardians that looked after you, what happened with that? Like, why at 16 did you have to move out? Because you're clearly not done with school yet.
Yeah, I was in grade 10. So I at 12. So all along I was staying with this aunt of mine. Remember, I spoke about my mom's side. My mom's sister, she treated me very well. Like that was, I never felt that I wasn't hers, you know. But then one of my aunt from my father's side now was like, okay, let them come stay with me, because I know if I had passed on, my dad would have my father, which is her brother, would have taken care of her kids, which is true, because my dad took her to school. She had her kids quite fairly young. My dad took on that responsibility. So my grandparents didn't have a problem with that, because they thought we want the best for this kid, you know, and if they think they can give them the best, so be it. So we went there, stayed with her for 4 years, literally abuse. All the words that you could, you know, like, I never killed your dad. Like, because I remember there was my granny from my mom's side would always send money every month to her.
And I'm sure that money never got to you.
It wasn't even supposed to get to us. It was supposed to be for groceries and all that. But there was this one time she just never brought groceries. And every time in the morning would give her kids money to buy food for breakfast and cover up for lunch. And then for dinner, they would go out and eat.
So where would you be?
We'd be left in the house with no food, with no money, with nothing. But my granny had sent money, you know. So that's just like the conditions we lived under. And obviously we're telling our granny from my mom's side now. And then she took us to court. took my grandparents to court rather, but it wasn't really like court.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was friends with this magistrate.
Yeah.
So my grandfather from my father's side now. And then the magistrate came. We're thinking, oh my God, authorities are here. Because my granny wanted to take us now because she hears of this abuse that we're going through.
Yeah.
And then the magistrate, because they were friends with my aunt and my grandfather from my dad's side, they're like, yeah, no, don't take the kids. So we were forced to stay there. Until my grandfather passed on from my dad's side. Because now he had passed on, and he died very sad as well, because I hated him so much, because I was just like, why would you not see what's happening?
Watch us suffer and do nothing.
Yeah, but only to realize at the end, because he was also sick. I don't remember what was wrong with him, but he was like very, very sick. And I remember he called my sister, from her side before he went like to hospital and never came back. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I did not realize your aunt was doing this to you guys. I am so sorry.
Aww.
And he was like, just go to school. Just go to school, and I'm giving you that blessing. Go to school and everything will be fine. But I'm really, really, really sorry. I did not notice what was happening. And I still don't blame my aunt again. I'm like, my grandfather had to die thinking that he hated us, and all that. Now I have to live with that, to say, I thought you hated us, and I didn't want you. I didn't want him, because even when he'd call me, I wouldn't even go there, because I'm just like, you can't let us live in such conditions.
Like, come on,
and then,
rescue us. Yeah.
But now you're the one taking us to court with your daughter. But
So you forgave him?
I did.
Okay. Good.
I did. I forgave him. I forgave my aunt. Forgave everybody.
Yeah.
But I've kept them afar. But
Yeah.
I've forgiven them.
So others would ask, it's okay. So with that sort of challenging background, how were you able to get this educated?
Yeah.
Because we know that education in South is a very expensive.
Yes.
And not everybody who is willing, who wants to study with all their heart, are able to, because of that financial constraint. And if you don't have parents who saved up for you, or if you don't have distinctions to get bursaries, then what?
Yes. So it goes back to the point that I made, to say God wanted to take care of me himself. Like he has literally provided for me. So with university, I got NSFAS, luckily. And then I wanted to study further. I'm just like, I just want to study further, And then applied for like a scholarship, NRF. National Research Foundation. So they were looking for the grades and all that, and luckily I got in.
You qualified, girl.
I got that scholarship started last year, and then now I'm done, and I'm just
done.
So I think God
Nthabiseng.
always like provided means for me to get through, even when I didn't have food, because I'm not a person who can ask. I don't ask people for anything, So I just like pray, my God, like
See me through.
and He would see me through, and He continues to do so.
Amen.
Loving. Like, wow, just like reminds me so much of our own personal story. It's one thing to go through something.
It was personal.
Like, it was just too personal,
Yes.
when you grew up without both parents, like people just don't understand the small dynamics in between. There's so many gaps in between. And so
the trauma,
and the words that people say and what they remind you, because they don't want you to feel entitled, I guess. So they always feel the need to remind you, so that you can humble yourself and not ask for too much, because you're just not you.
Yeah, because also
It's a lot.
it's crazy how I was speaking to someone about this, and I was telling them that I was never loved as a kid, just for the mere fact that I'm a child. I had to act. I had to do something. I felt like I needed to perform for love. And if I get the A marks, if I get the good grades, at least I get the hug. But you were just never loved for just being a child. I never got that. And that has like grown with me till now. And it's all those traumas that I'm still learning to like deal with and heal from. Because also like I might just be sharing this, but there's a lot of trauma that you carry.
Oh, yeah.
Also just by, not living
Yeah.
as a child, because I grew up quite very quickly. You know, at 16, I was there alone.
An adult, yeah.
You know, yeah, you have to.
You had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You have to-
like you can be our little sister.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we've been through the most together. We know what it is.
Yeah, I think
But
we
yeah.
don't. I think we don't talk enough about the impact
Yeah.
of grief, but grief specifically of the loss of parents,
And both of them.
and both of them.
Yeah.
I think, like, for the first time, like, I'm sitting here listening to your story, and I'm just like, no, she gets it. Like, everything you say is like, you don't have to convince me, girl. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, we don't talk enough about the trauma that comes with that. Like, people just want maybe like abuse to be attached to it, or to be just the absence of your physical birth mother and father being absent from your life
Yes.
alone
Yes.
is damaging to the mind, and so only
Yes.
God can heal
Only
that
God
spot,
can
because
heal that.
you walk around with that void because you're not receiving something. It's a void that's still there.
And
you know,
it goes nowhere, babes.
It
Every
goes
single day of your life,
absolutely
you
no-
get reminded of it.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it gets triggered by things. But anyway, guys, we've come to the
And
end of the
people-
show. Like, oh my gosh, like, do you understand? Like, we are connected. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around until the end of the episode. We look forward to the comment section and to hear what you have to say. Have you lost a parent or both parents? How are you? How did you make it? How are you making it? How are you surviving? Are you struggling through it? I mean, here we are. We're standing. Nthabiseng is here. Myself and Millicent. We're standing. We continue with life as hard as it is, but you have to continue to live and know that you are here on this earth for a purpose and for a reason.
Absolutely. And I love that we're all educated. We fought through it. I think education is a very challenging thing with all the emails and inboxes and DMs that we get. People who grew up without parents and they just want a better life for themselves because they don't want to depend on other people. But then there's this one thing that is like, but let me just get educated so I can get out of this people's house and empower myself and just do this. But I really hope that if you are in the same situation, you get away, you find a way. God blesses you with lots and lots of options and ways in which you can find a good life and survive and just make it through that hurdle.
Okay,
talk
guys. We
forever.
love you. Goodbye. See you on the next one. Remember to subscribe. From myself, Innocent,
And myself, Millicent, and our awesome guest, Nthabiseng.
and our lovely crew and everyone in studio. It's bye for now. Bye, 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 bye.